floating around in many universes, and he seems to have returned to the Fringe world, and now he's going to come back with us.
As the co-executive producers of Fringe, Geek Time is proud to welcome our leading man, Josh Jackson.
Hey now, Josh.
Hi, fellas. I think my mission now, I realize this year, is going to be to get you guys a main title credit.
That would be fantastic. We are we should have put in that unpaid executive producers.
In name only. Yes. Welcome, Josh.
Thanks. Good to be back. How are you guys?
You are back in the real world. You are back in our world. John and I both saw the episode last night. It was excellent. It was very geeky. And I wrote this on Twitter. I think this is a good episode. Like, I think it's of course there's some references that, go way back, but I think this is a really good standalone episode. It really is what Fringe is all about. This episode.
Well, that's always the balance that we're trying to strike. And sometimes we do straight up mythology episodes, but last night's, and even 2 weeks ago, was sort of, they're predominantly standalone episodes, those kick-ass, crazy old Fringe stories, with just enough mythology laid in that the story doesn't get left to the side. That's the balance that we are always trying to work for.
Yeah, the other for me was the one when Olivia went over with Olivia, and they were working on that case with the guy with the brain freeze, whatever he had going on in his head. That was a great episode, right John?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're a bit antagonistic with each other, don't you think?
Just a bit.
They are. But also, I got to say, you guys do that twin thing so well, because I've seen it done so poorly on big shows, and I don't know, who's ever doing that for you guys, very good. Because I almost said, who's the other actress?
The guy who does the actual effects is a guy named Bob Habros, who did District 9, so he's pretty good.
Yes.
District 9 guy.
And then it's all credit to Anna. I mean, what she does, I was in one of those scenes the other day, and it was actually Jessica's scene, but I was just thinking to myself, I don't know that I have this gear where you completely make up a performance and then you perform it to air, and then you go on the other side and you respond to things that you've just done. It's really impressive what Anna's done with that Olivia Bolivia doppelganger in the same scene.
You're right, Josh, because a lot of time we'll rave about you, we'll rave about John Noble and the other cast members, but we don't really give Olivia her due. And playing the twin, doing Nimoy's voice, she does a lot of things which could be very easily done poorly and killed. And she's really, I think, excelling on that show as it continues. And now the dynamic between you and her takes another turn because you're back and she sort of knows who you are, but she really doesn't. And that's another way to play your relationship.
Yeah, she's playing another version of Olivia, like Walter's playing another version of Walter.
Yeah. And what's interesting to me, because having not been in the first four episodes, I wasn't here, so I didn't see what everybody was doing. And, if you cast your mind back to season 1, Olivia, she was emotionally just completely cut off, just a damaged unit. So this is a little bit like season 1 Olivia in that she's still, she's very much got that, she's a do-gooder, just by very nature. But emotionally, she's a little bit more capable, and she is furious at this Peter dude for showing up and just think he knows everything. The first couple of days back, I was like, man, did I do something? I was on vacation, but...
Yeah, they were mad because you got 4 shows off and they were working their asses off.
Exactly. I'm sitting in my box all by myself, the guys aren't talking to me anymore. But then on the flip side of that, you got John, who is, I think, even more screwed up than he was in the beginning of the first season.
Well, yeah, what is amazing, he is so, I love everybody on the show, but he's so great. I mean, he's yet now playing another version of Walter. And what's so great about him, because you didn't realize it at first, he's like, wait, why isn't Walter leaving the lab? Well, because he didn't have Peter in his life to get him out of the lab. And he's just, he's a mess now. And I just thought that was such a fantastic.
And his quirkiness, you always laughed at a little bit, but this season, he's tearing your heart out. I mean,
he's heartbreaking.
It really is tragic what's going on.
Well, this is, of all the characters, and I'm still giving all credit to Anna for what she's done with the versions of Olivia, and also the Belle voice, super creepy, could have been great.
Walter.
Yeah, exactly. When she first did that, we were doing the scene, and she arched the eyebrows. I was like, I got to get out of here.
She's great.
Yeah, right. But for John, he's just so goddamn good. And it's like everything that he does, you sit there and you're like, where did that come from? So for him to take the Walter that we all know and love, and to take, that the mad scientist character can get also very cheesy if you let it.
Yeah.
And to make it, just funny enough that he is understandable for the first 3 seasons, and then this year you love him so much when you see him hurting like this. Yeah, it breaks you. I mean, I'm doing scenes with him, and he's getting me teary-eyed. He's just so good.
Yeah, I got choked up last night. I often cry during Fringe.
Well, you want to give him. That's a different issue. We won't know anything.
I'm not sobbing, Josh. Just welling up a little bit. Let's be clear
okay.
here.
It's more manly if it's like that silent cry, like the superhero cry, where you just see your shoulders shaking a little bit, but there's no actual tears.
You're right.
Movie star cry.
Exactly.
Now tonight's episode, which Ralph and I got to see a preview of, we don't want to spoil anything, but it deals a lot with time displacement, I'll say. And I particularly like this episode because, being really geeky, I was trying to translate equations and figure out exactly, but there seems to be real physics logic behind what happens during the episode, and there's a little Lost shout out in there, which I loved. But it seemed like, Josh, this is one of those episodes, having interviewed you a couple times here, that you would love because it really gets into the science of things.
Well, for me, this is also another place that John and I completely geek out on this show, is when we can go hit the Google and learn something. Occasionally, the jumping off point for our show is more science fiction-y, and it's sort of the stories go a bit broad. But sometimes you root it in actual current physics, and these are the stories that I love. And it actually, it's hard to tease because I can't tell you what happens, but it plays out again in another couple episodes.
Oh.
And we're doing a cool thing this year where we're taking themes from episodes from the first 3 years, and because this timeline hasn't experienced those things, we're kind of rehashing them and seeing not only how.
Oh, you're getting us wet, Josh. Oh, sorry, Josh. What?
Please talk slower.
Oh, that's awesome. So we're going back to season 1, and since we're on a different timeline, where Peter.
Exactly. So things things manifest a little bit differently this time around, just because things are different. But they're themes we've already dealt with. It's super cool. And then we reintroduce one of the best characters that got dropped off the map for a couple of years. So the next 3 or 4 or 5, I guess 5, are pretty excellent.
Who do you think that is, John?
It could be Olivia's boyfriend who died in the beginning of the show. It could be
Spock.
It could
Leonard
be
Nimoy?
Eric the Midget without an exploding head.
Is Eric the Midget back?
Eric the Midget would be hard to bring back. It is Fringe. I mean,
tell us about it.
The headless midget returns.
Damn geek.
We can't get too much of him. But, you're just talking about the first season stuff. Besides helping to save the show, what I'm really happy about is we got Howard into Fringe.
Yes.
Howard. So now I'm talking to Howard about Fringe episodes all the time. And what's so funny is he's absorbed, like, in less than a year, he's gone, probably in the last few months, he's gone through all the seasons. So for somebody like him, it's all fresh. So when you're talking about some of these things being redone, like, I forget some of the stuff that he was telling me about.
Right. Well, that hopefully is kind of the fun for people who've been with us right from the very beginning, is when you're seeing this episode, like, a little light will go on eventually, and you'll be like, oh my God, that's the one, that's episode 115. And we're just, our fan base has, by the hair on their chin, kept us on the air, and you guys particularly have rallied the troops. So every year is supposed to be a little bit of a love letter to the people who've stuck with us, and hopefully this year is allowing people to sort of, everybody was nervous that, they're going to do like Lost. They're going to throw away everything that we've seen. But they're not trying to do that at all. In fact, they're using the opportunity of the new universe to sort of mine the stuff that we all know to be true in the story of Fringe.
I love that. I did, when you just told us that you're going back and redoing some of the things, that's super cool.
And the ratings are up. I mean, the ratings have been better this year on Fridays at 9. And we tell our audience, make sure you're watching the show live at 9 o'clock on Fox on Friday nights.
Yeah, don't TiVo.
I almost don't want to. I don't tell anybody that we're doing it, that we're stabilized on Friday, because panic makes people listen.
Yes.
Tell people that the ratings are down and they must watch on Friday.
Well, you do
rally the troops.
You do have you're up against Grimm now, and we were just talking about that earlier. It should be on they're the same genre. I don't know why they have to go to especially on a Friday? Why does it have to go head to head? Somebody should be on another time. You guys have the slot already. They should be on it.
It is weird that they put Grimm in our time slot. I thought the same thing, which is, it's different enough, I guess. But yeah, there's not another hour in the week that you can put a sci-fi show.
Yeah, NBC's got a really weak schedule. I'm sure they can find someplace else to put it.
Plus, it's great back to back. But watch one and then watch the other one right after. They complement each other, I think.
Yeah, if they hadn't, it's just, I don't know why networks do the things that they do, but it makes you wonder why of all the time slots that they had to go after, it had to be exactly ours. But Case for Us Rock, it seems like at least Grimm's only been on for 2 episodes, right?
Yeah.
So it seems like for whatever reason, the audience is different enough because their ratings are holding just fine and they're doing well, which is good, and our ratings weren't negatively impacted by Grimm. So I'm okay with them.
Right. Josh, getting back to the acting in the show, we're just saying how good, how all this stuff, like Crazy Scientist, Olivia's role playing 2 different roles, and your role, if you're not, it's such a testament to the show that you guys act so well because that stuff can all fall so flat. Even in this week's episode, you had me laughing a couple times. There's something that's going on with the time, and there's something about it that annoyed you, and you just played it off so well and so casually. It just had me crack. I know you must know exactly what point I'm talking about. You were just kind of exasperated, and that just was great to just have that moment of laughter in the show.
I'm guessing the second flash where we're sitting in the car, or the first flash. Oh shit, I can't talk about that.
Spoiler alert. Something like that.
Whoops.
Yeah, you're on the right track.
Yeah. Well, in my opinion, you guys, I'm guessing, feel the same way. Good science fiction has to do both. You got to be able to laugh in it because the situations are always over the top, but just by its very nature, right?
Yeah.
So if there's not at least one character or some scenario that allows you to have a little chuckle and go, okay, I get it. We're going over the top. We're going to the next level. I think when it starts to take itself too seriously, it gets a little bit precious. And that's another thing that Fringe has always tried to do. And a lot of that has gone through Walter. But, for a lot of the first 2 seasons, Peter and Walter were like a 2-man comedy team.
Yeah.
He would spike it down. So, I think it's important to keep all that stuff for the show has to have a sense of humor about it, or else once it starts getting precious,
yet you're never laughing at it. Ryan and Marilyn, what's up? You're on with Josh Jackson. Hey, what's up?
Hey, Ryan.
How's it going?
Pretty good.
Ryan, what's up? You're talking to Josh Jackson. Did you have something to say to him?
Nothing really. I just wanted to know. I've heard you guys talk about Fringe a lot, and I wanted to know where I can start because it sounds really interesting.
Okay, start
where you could start.
I recommend starting at season 1. Because it's so fulfilling, and it's not that hard to do nowadays. It's on Netflix. It's everywhere. You really watch it from the beginning. I say, but you can jump if you can't. Don't feel overwhelmed. Jump in this week. Like I said, I think it's a really good standalone episode. But what we did have up on the board, Brian said something about a People's Choice. Are you up for a People's Choice Award or the show or anything like that?
The show got nominated for a People's Choice.
Best sci-fi.
That's good.
Excellent. Congratulations. That's great.
Do you know what you're up against?
Does it really matter?
No, nothing.
It's the PCAs. Come on.
I should know. I should know this because that's one of those publicity type things.
Are you doing a Rick Perry?
Oh my God, how bad was that?
Oh my God, but who hasn't done that? But to do that there about one of his biggest subjects, yikes!
It's just like for me, it's sort of like the Twitter thing, right? It's why in your life, when you do something really stupid amongst your friends, you're probably going to hear about it for the next 15, 20 years. But it's only 3 or 4 people who know beyond a shadow of a doubt that you are a complete fucking idiot. Right. But now, everybody in America knows that guy, beyond a shadow of a doubt, is a complete fucking idiot. Like, in any other version of the world, don't you wake up the next morning and be like, honey, I'm not going to be president. We're moving back to my small town, and I'm not ever doing an interview ever again.
Run! Not run for office.
His biggest mistake was he needed a 2-part plan. Like, that was it. He should have 3 was too much.
Really? You want to be president and you can't keep 3 parts in your head at the same time?
Exactly. He's overqualified, it seems.
Well, that other part, it was just energy or something.
It was just weird.
That's not important.
Hey, Josh.
Whatever, it's okay.
When you're doing the scenes with Anna and John, Since you've had so many resets, like, do you have to remind yourself, okay, he doesn't know me, or he knows this, but he doesn't know that? Because they seem to be, I guess they saw those visions of you, and there seems to be a glimmer of recognition. But how difficult is it to play that, having been doing the show for so many years?
We talk a lot about just making sure that we keep the timeline stuff clear, because it can be confusing, frankly, because we have done a lot of resets. But the more difficult one, particularly with John, because we've spent so much time trying to build up that sort of family dynamic, the father-son dynamic, to remind ourselves not to be too chummy with each other. We get along so well on set. We've spent so much time building this father-son relationship to remind each other, like, oh, I have to look at you like I've never seen you before. You are a completely different human being that I have no experience of, and just making sure that you play that out. Because the natural tendency with him, it's so playful on set, is to be playful, but now we're in this place where he wants nothing to do with me, and I'm kind of a prisoner in my own life.
Yeah, and you play it well. I mean, he plays it well, and you play it well. It's completely understanding. And it was funny. I was arguing with Howard the other day on the show, and actually off the air too. He was saying, if Walter's a man of science, how come he can't accept the idea that Josh has come back? And I chalk it up to, it's a different Walter now. It's, Howard knows, and we all know that other Walter, but that's not that Walter now. You stabilized, like we were talking about earlier, you stabilized him in his life. So because he was in the hospital, he was a crazy man, and you took him out of that, and so he's
not mentally, he's not mentally or emotionally capable. And even though he's a man of science, he's still a man. He's still a human. And the thing that this version of Walter, just like the first season version of Walter, can't do is emotionally process anything. Can't really deal with human beings. Can't deal with anything outside the box. It has to be his way. It has to be sort of done by program. And his 20-year-old dead son pops up and says, "Hey man, I'm back. What's happening?
Hey,
want to go throw the ball around?"
Yeah, right.
You're in a bad spot.
Here I am, Daddy.
Now, Josh, for PR reasons, just so you know, you're up against Supernatural, True Blood, Vampire Diaries, and The Walking Dead for your People's Choice Award.
Well, Walking Dead's not science fiction.
It's not. What's that?
So Walking Dead's not science fiction.
Virus making people rise from the dead?
I don't know. I call that horror.
It's more. I guess the basis of it, because they went with the more scientific explanation of the zombies, is sci-fi, but it's really a horror film.
Yeah.
A horror show.
Well, then you're knocking out like 3 other things in your category.
Exactly.
Right?
That's why Fringe. That's why Fringe should win.
Well, it is the most science fiction show, right next to True Blood. I mean, that's vampires. That's horror.
Yeah. That's sort of where I'm going. Given where the world is right now, I'm going to guess Pretty Vampires beat Mad Scientist, but that's just a guess.
Yeah, the Vampire Diaries, Ralph. That's tough to resist. You know that.
You know what? I thought he meant the True Blood Pretty Vampire. There's too many pretty vampires. There's too many pretty vampires on TV. Let's get some ugly vampires.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, speaking of, here's the thing that I want to do.
Yes.
I want to do a real guy superhero. If you were Superman, wouldn't you be a fat pig?
Jason, you want to answer that?
Yeah. No, I always said that, like, if I develop, like, Spider-Man's powers, like, spontaneously, like, I wouldn't know what to do with them. Like, I'd still be scared to fly. Like,
Why would you be fat, though, Josh? I mean, like, Spider-Man, he's in shape because he's bouncing around.
Are you seriously going to have to hit? You're Superman. You don't have to hit the gym.
Right. So you don't get fat.
You don't have to walk if you don't want to.
But he's Superman. He doesn't get fat. He metabolizes. Mike Cotton, right?
Yeah, most superheroes have some kind of high metabolism where they eat a whole lot and then they stay slim and trim.
But then,
looking
to
awesome.
Josh's point, if I was Superman, I'd be eating a lot more then. That would be like most of my day.
Kryptonians are built that way.
Josh, let me give you the old one superpower question. If you could have one, which would it be?
The one superpower.
You could do webbing too. You could shoot webs.
If you want to be lame,
Build your own.
I would be able to build my own cocoon. No. What would my one superpower be? I have no idea. I would be able to not sleep. That would be my superpower.
That's a good one.
Josh, the answer is flying.
Insomnia.
The answer is flying. Come on.
That's what planes are for. I don't need to. Teleportation. You know what? Teleportation. That's what I would do.
One too.
Yeah, you do that on the show. Paul in Pennsylvania. You want to talk to Josh Jackson here?
Oh, yeah. How you doing, Josh?
Pretty good, man. How you doing?
I'm doing good, man. Big fan of the show. Unfortunately, I never got to watch Dawson's Creek, but
Come on,
dude. What? But I just wanted to say that I think that Fringe has been snubbed by the Emmys for years. Like, it's just kind of bullshit. Like, John Noble's, like, on network TV, probably the best actor on network TV. Some of the HBO shows and cable shows have some really good actors as well, but I just think it's bullshit that the show has never been even just nominated for an Emmy.
You're not going to hear any argument out of me. I mean, I think for the show itself, I'll buy that there are 5 other shows that are equal or better to Fringe, so it's hard to get onto that list. But I will not even begin to believe that there are 5 better actors on network or on cable than John Noble. The idea that guy can't get an Emmy nomination, I mean, they should be fucking walking, pardon me, but they should be walking it to his front door.
Yeah.
I agree with you. I think it's total BS.
Yeah, I forgot what episode it was this season. I twittered something out like John Noble should have an Emmy award. I mean, it's just, it's
so many Emmy awards by this point. He's using a hold up in his door.
Yeah, and it's just kind of an FU to that genre, you know?
Yeah, and I agree with you,
that I don't
Ralph,
like.
because I think on the one hand is like, you know, you could definitely, he's funny. But if you put him in the comedy category, they're going to be like, oh, we're going to give it to like a Steve Carell type. And if it's drama, it goes more to like the Breaking Bad type. And
he's playing the same guy 4 different ways now, and they're all clearly different. That's amazing.
I agree. He deserves it. I just think he's in a weird spot.
Some people get nominated can barely play one character.
Hey, Josh, are there going to be any new issues of that digital comic series beyond the Fringe that you did?
Yeah, the second one. The second one's come out, and the third one, which is the wrap-up of the story that I wrote, comes out, I think, in 2 weeks.
And that ties into the universe, too, correct?
Yeah, the guys let me write what they call a canon story. So it's what happened to Peter in between the end of 322 and the beginning of episode 1 of season 4.
That was so great when you popped out of Raiden Lake, man.
Yeah. And we strive our best to get it right all the time, and of course we don't get it right all the time, but when this show is clicking, man, it is still so good. You know, the writers are just excellent, and the mythology is so deep, and the fan base is so passionate that you can get away with doing oblique references, not the Raiden Leg, I mean, that comes up a lot in our show, but, you know, you can chuck a Lost reference in there, and people are going to get it, and you can reference back to 2 seasons ago episodes, and people are going to get it. And it's great to work on a show that people take passionately.
Well, yeah, and that's why we're geeks about it. But that's when you hit something like that, like me and John were just so happy with the Faraday reference. It's just amazing. It was just like we lit up, you know. It's just
spoiler alert.
Wow, come on, we didn't. I don't know if that's a spoiler.
Yeah, it kind of is.
Well, we've actually dealt with that's one of the episodes. If you go back to White Tulip, which is now 2 seasons ago, but an unbelievable John Noble episode.
Yes, and if I can interrupt for a second, that was one of Howard's favorite episodes. He told me he just loved that. Was right? Peter Weller was in that, right?
Yeah, there's a couple times that, you know, speaking of that Emmy thing, you're like, really? Tell me 5 better performances this year than that guy in that episode. I dare you.
You can't.
So you can't, exactly. So, but I digress. But White Tulip, man. Bending time so that he can recover his lost love.
Right.
Tonight's episode, Faraday cage plays again in the exact same method, just slightly twisted, because in this world, the parameters are slightly different.
Very cool.
Yeah, I didn't think about that. That's great.
Yeah, that's the thing is, I guess for the Fringe fans who are listening right now, in each one of the episodes, now that Peter's back, just like try to step back from the episode for a second and think about what it might be referencing that you've already seen, like what in the universe that you already know that this is pretty close to, because it's come up a bunch this year.
Nice. And one last thing, Josh. I mean, this could have gone horribly wrong. This idea of resetting yet again, or introducing this third element. And I think you guys have been doing a great job with it. Jeff and JH and everybody, great job. All the right, David Fury. I mean, all those guys we know, great work.
Yeah, I think, you know, these guys are really good, and I agree with you. It could have gone bad if the intention was, we're out of stories, we'll just hit the reset button.
Right.
But that's not where these guys are at. And you know, people were freaked out that I wasn't going to be in the first 4 episodes. But now that you can see how they brought Peter back, he had to be gone. You needed to see the world without that character, to know that to know what the parameters were, what the boundaries were of this new universe before you could sort of get started into the rest of the season. So I think, like always, these guys have done an excellent job.
Yeah.
Well, remember, everybody, to watch Fringe live tonight, 9 o'clock on Fox. Josh will be looking for our credit in episode 13, 14, maybe. We'll give you a little time to get that done.
Okay, yeah, excited. So just give me a little time to grease the wheels. So I got to tell you, putting it out live on air might have tipped my hand a little bit. I don't know.
Single title, please.
And make sure you check out the digital.
Really? Wow, you're negotiating with me? Jesus.
Welcome to Geek Time.
It's Geek Time, and thanks for giving that nugget, though, to have Fringe fans look for previous stories being retold in this universe. That's really awesome.
That's
And
exciting.
we'll see if the Trade Center's still around. And make sure you check out the new digital comic series Beyond the Fringe, which is written by Josh, 99 cents an issue. The third one coming out real soon. And Josh, you're a true friend of Geek Time, and we're glad that we saved your show.
Yes, and tell everybody we said.
I am also glad that you saved our show, and thanks for having me back on.
Our pleasure.
Doesn't have to be single title.
Oh, okay, good. Well, maybe I can share my card with you. How about that?
There we go. Perfect. There we go. You're the man.
Thanks, Josh.
No worries, guys.
You're listening to S3E9 of Geek Time on Howard 101.